Hi folks, so heart's desires, yes. The reality is, if your heart's desires are just for a relatively quiet life, then you're fine. You won't really have to go through anything to get what you want. You'll get it. At least to a certain degree, because, unfortunately speaking, if you are, put it this way, the way church has been, and has been for a long time, you have an awful lot of people in church who are not saved. Who are not saved now and never will be. Not if they continue as they are. So if you're one of those and you want a quiet life, then you will get that quiet life for a while. But then the devil will explode your life because he wants you to blame God. That's what people will do. And the devil will have great joy in that because that's what he does. If you are someone whose heart's desire is for God and is for an incredibly beautiful, powerful ministry, but then you can have that. You can. But it will cost. Because you've got to get from where you are to where you need to be for that to be the case. And so therefore you're going to have to go on a journey. That journey is going to be bloody difficult. Because if you are typically, like most churchy people, you're at a position right now where, well, Rick Harris, I asked him about a nice person who I spoke to today. There was two people, the one from Banff and another one. He said, oh, that would be Pastor Bob from Banff. I think he's talking about the one who I was talking to second. The reason why I'm bringing him up again, he was the one I talked to in the last video, or the one before last, yes. The reason why, the one with baby understanding, is because most people in church have that same level of understanding. If you have that level of understanding and you want to have a powerful ministry, then yeah, you're going to have to go through an immense journey to get from where you are to where you need to be, because your understanding has to change, has to be according to the knowledge and understanding of God. And your ability to go through stuff has to change. So, so that you can cope with the life that you're going to have, God's going to have to teach you to stand. Now, when God teaches you to stand, you're going to have to go through stuff that's really, really tough. Really, really tough. So yeah, if you have a heart's desire for a beautiful ministry and a beautiful relationship with God, and you're nowhere near that right now, then yeah, to have your heart's desire, you can have it, but I said before, there's a lot of people who won't have time to be broken in the old-fashioned way, in the way that God has broken people in the past, the way that God broke me. I was incredibly broken by childhood. Incredibly. And so therefore there needed to be a lot of repairing, but that repairing was done over a 20-year period. Breaks happening over that 20 years. There are some people now who, to have their heart's desire, they have to go through 20 years worth of breaking in a year. And yeah. Go back and listen to the videos that I did in early September and late October 2021. That was the 2 last breaks I went through that were actually quite close to each other. Imagine having that level of breaks times 3 or 4. Because to get ready and get ready quickly to have your heart's desire, you can have your heart's desire, Yeah. I've watched sci-fi. I think it was sci-fi programs where they've looked at things like that. Things like magic, to say with magic, you can change your life to have all these wonderful things, but there's going to be a huge cost. Well, that's because in nature that is always the case. And that's the case, it will be the case. To change, most people in church are still incredibly physical. They're still incredibly emotional. To go from that to spiritual, while still being a human, that is. Well, as I say, the way that God showed it to me was, caterpillar to butterfly, but without the natural anaesthetic, or at least most of it. So, well, it's like today. Even a nice person, when he was speaking, he said, God doesn't want to hurt you. God will never want to hurt you. And that was so wrong. What he said was a lie. God sometimes is going to want to bring hurt onto you, want to use someone or something to bring hurt onto you, to help you to learn, to teach you, to help you to grow. Pain is something that often helps us to go to God in more urgency. God wants us to go to him all the time. But we have to learn to go to him. It's often through pain that we learn. And so therefore, yes, pain is important. Pain is part of it. As I said, the reality is for Israel and the church, for them to get back to God, they're going to have to be put in a position which is incredibly uncomfortable. Therefore, in most cases, incredibly painful, incredibly difficult. Where they've tried everything and the only thing left is just to cry out to God with absolute heartfelt cries rather than the normal, as if you're crying out to God, but you're not really. I'm talking about something quite major. Doing that, that's what's needed. And so, it's going to take something quite immense from the people to get there, isn't it? So I wish you well in that journey. Keep your head up. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.